Hey kids, welcome to episode 2 of our Colorado adventure, heading up to the California and Hurricane Pass via parts of the Alpine Loop. So it's now Wednesday of our week-long adventure. We started out on South Mineral through Silverton, up past the ghost town of Eureka, up to Animas Forks, California and Hurricane Pass, and came back out through Corkscrew, back down to Highway 550, back to the campground. And Golden Horn Campground is a really nice campground out there in the Mineral Campground area. And then we started our day. Hey, morning kids. This is ADV Tress and we're headed out from our campground in South Mineral to, I think, Animus. I'll put it in the subtitle below. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado. The scenery is absolutely gorgeous. So let's see what's down the trail and what this road is gonna bring. So the first part of the day, we left the campground and headed out through Silverton. If you get time, and I recommend you make time, spend it checking out Silverton. There's plenty of little shops, plenty of places to get patches for Imogene, California, Hurricane, you know, all the different passes that you're going to travel, plus t-shirts and everything else. And there's actually quite a few really good restaurants in Silverton. And the one thing I missed out on was the funnel cake, so I'll be sure to go back and get that. After you go through Silverton, you're going to take the main road, as I showed on the map, out from Silverton, and it's going to head up towards Eureka, which is the old mine. It's a really good place to double check your air pressures, double check your rig, and actually do some sightseeing. The Animus, I think it's the Animus River, runs through here. And this is really kind of at least my first exposure to the grandeur and beauty of off-roading. If you notice there to the left, there's old cribbing, I'm assuming mine cribbing. Now, past Eureka, the first major site we hit was this Animas Forks, which again is another old mining region in the area. And I think this mine was in operation 1880s. And pretty much what's true for most of the mines up here is they just weren't mining for one thing, like just mining for gold or just mining for silver. Most of these mines were multi-purpose, meaning they were mining for gold, they were mining for silver, and they were mining for copper. And it's one of those things that if you're like me from California, you're used to like mining districts like we have Sutter Mine or Sutter Mills, you know, the mining that was going on up in the Sierras, and then the mining that was going on the Nevada side. The mining that was going on up here in Colorado is nothing like our mining history here. I mean, as you're driving through the San Juan Mountains, you can't look left, right without seeing some mine or some tailing pile. And a lot of the structures are still available to go explore and to have a meander around. After coming through Animas Forks, you kind of pick up part of the Alpine Loop, which is just stunning. Now, the scenery out here, as you can see, your head's constantly turning left and right, because as me, coming from California, you're just in awe of the majestic grandeur of these of the San Juan Range. Now, when you leave Animas Forks, we actually were headed up to California Pass from Animas Forks, and it actually gets quite steep, and it's kind of like one of my litmus tests. You know, when you start seeing, you know, you're driving your rig and you start seeing vapor trails, you know, from the plains up ahead, you know you're going up a pretty steep grade. And it's really kind of twofold, because part of your mind's like, wow, I'm going up a really steep grade, but the other part of your brain is like, wow, look at how beautiful. I mean, if you look to the right there, you see that kind of water coming down, you know, that's all snow melt. So anyway, we start the major part of the climb up to California Pass. And heading up to California Pass, you'll see Lake Como there. That's one of the lakes we stopped at. And I think one of our group actually took a dip, took a swim in Lake Como. The grades are, you know, they're steep. There's some loose rock going up these grades. And there are a few switchbacks heading up to Lake Como. You can see one of in the lower right there, one of our group, you know, kind of doing some adjustments, you know, to get up the grade. And you know, I'm a flatlander, right? I live in California at an altitude of about 500 feet, right? This, I think California Pass is around 12,000 feet, plus or minus a few hundred feet. So this was really, you know, I want to say thrilling, to be able to do this adventure and see some of this scenery. And you can see that I can watch the planes go by, and you also have a pretty significant drop off there on the right. So California Pass, Hurricane Pass, Corkscrew Pass, Black Bear, Imogene, all of these are not for, you know, the faint of heart. If you're afraid of heights, I do not recommend you do this route, right? But we made it up to California Pass and Hurricane Pass, and just really had a blast. And again, this Lake Como is absolutely stunning. And one of the kind of weird things you are probably going to run across is rental Jeeps. That's a thing. And also these tour rides, right? And these tour rides are in all different kinds of vehicles. But it definitely is kind of one of those, you know, they think you're part of their tour. Weird. And it's one of those things, you know, when you climb up to these higher elevations, you need to climb down. And the climb up is interesting, but then the coming down is equally as interesting, right? And actually the climb down, you know, we were pretty much in 4 low, I would say, most of the time, or at least I was. I'm really overprotective of my transmission and other things, right? So I was kind of being the turtle of the group. And also just, you know, I'm just overprotective of my rig, so we'll just leave it at that. As you're coming down, right, I mean, there's some technical bits, right, and there's some like pucker bits, right, because you can kind of just, like, if you look in the upper left one, right, the road just, you know, it's just a straight drop down. But with that straight drop down comes some absolutely stellar vistas and scenery. And we were planning on doing Black Bear later in the week. I think we did Black Bear on Thursday, and it is now Tuesday. So we did California Hurricane Pass on Tuesday. We did Imogene, Ophir on Wednesday, and then we did Black Bear on Thursday. So this was a real good prep for Black Bear, because there are some switchbacks that you have to navigate. And I think with the switchbacks, and you see it in some of these videos where you see the hood of the truck and it's just looking off into nothingness, that's the driver on the switchback. So the white truck in the upper left, that's Jeff. He was with our group. That's some of his video. And you can just see, you know, you pull up and you're just looking out, you know, into the Never Land on some of these corners. Other thing is, you'll see the motorcycles go by. I give these guys a lot of credit. There were guys in GS's, African Twins, regular dirt bikes doing this route, and hats off to you. I wish I had the physical endurance and skill that it took to be able to ride those bikes on this type of terrain. And the other thing about, you know, these road conditions that I think, you know, all adventurers need to be aware of is road conditions can change based on the weather. Now, in the episode 1 video, you saw that it was like hailing and raining pretty heavily. I personally would not want to be on this road at my level of driving in a severe thunderstorm. I think I'd rather just hunker down, set up camp, and just wait it out, because, you know, some of these turns were, I don't want to say sketch, but they were heart raising or pulse raising, and some of these descents are really, really steep. The other thing is, you know, I would like to go back and spend more time checking out the old mines and the old sites along this route. Now, we went as a group, and we were kind of on a timetable, and you know, it's kind of a mixed group. But I would really say, you know, plan to spend the whole day. I mean, if you're into hiking and kind of history and stuff like that. So as you see interesting things, you can, you know, find a safe place to pull over and go check those out. Now, the other thing I want to say is this, you know, you can see some of the video and that's like, it's like one car length. The issue that I ran into, and again, I'm still a pretty new driver, is that you have cars going both ways. It's not like that certain section of Black Bear where it's just like one way. So if there's a car coming your way, then you actually have to get around them, and that can be a little daunting, especially like for me. So just kind of be aware of that. Like this Jeep, at least there was enough room, you know, to pull over, but had that happen somewhere else, it would be a little bit more difficult. And again, there's a ton of history up here. There's several ghost towns: Gladstone, the Mogul Mill, the Snowdrift mine. So tons of things to see. So spend a little time doing your research on where these sites are, and it'll make your trip much more enjoyable. And again, stellar beauty. This is Lake Como. Things we were lucky enough to see was a moose.
I got one. I got a good one.
So we made it back to camp, enjoyed a campfire, had beautiful weather Tuesday night, and then Wednesday we were going to be doing Imogene and Ophir. So look for episode 3 and see you soon.